Hey guys, Daniel here, and today I'm bringing you an easy and simple how-to guide on how to fish a Senko / a stick bait. In this video, you're probably going to hear me say Senko and stick bait a lot, but just know that I'm referring to the same thing. It's the same type of bait. A Senko is just a type of stick bait. All right, so with that, let's get started. So if you're new to fishing, you're probably wondering what is a stick bait or a Senko, and how do I fish it? Why does everybody talk about it so much? So as you can see right here, there goes one. A close-up view. This is an example of a Senko box that I have. It's a bunch of different Senko style baits. This actually might be a Strike King version of it, and some of these over here are Yum Dingers. But they all do the same thing, and they're awesome baits. So when somebody's referring to a Senko or a stick bait, this is the style of bait that they're referring to. Now you guys know what a Senko style bait is, and why do we fish them? Well, they are super easy to fish. This is kind of like the beginner's bait to get into bass fishing, because it's very easy to fish and it flat out works. From beginners all the way up to the pros fishing for tons of money, the Senko is always a go-to bait. And why is that? Well, there's two reasons. When it falls in the water and you have it rigged wacky, these ends, like on either end, go up and down when it sinks. Not that crazy, obviously, but it's got this little shimmy to it as it falls down. And it actually doesn't imitate a worm. It actually imitates a dying bait fish. And for whatever reason, it drives the bass crazy. And then also the other reason is it's super easy, and it's kind of a more finesse technique. So when all your other, you've gone out and hit the pond with a bunch of other lures, nothing seems to catch them. You throw on a Senko, go back to the basics, and this thing just flat out catches fish. So where are you going to fish these baits? And that is primarily going to be around docks and shallow water. Senkos and stick baits are primarily fished weightless for the most part, not getting into the advanced stuff, but primarily fished weightless, which means you want to fish them in 10 foot of water or less. I really like to fish them in like 5 foot, but if you are finesse fishing deeper docks, you can get away with fishing them deeper. You just have to wait for that bait to fall through the water longer. All right, so how do you rig the bait? There's two different ways. The first is a Texas rig, and I'll hold up for the camera right here. Hopefully it'll focus on that for you guys. And as you can see, I've got a EWG hook in it right now, and it is flush with the bait, so that hook is not coming out of the bait at all. Well, it did just right there, but the idea is that you can fish this bait through cover and around like little tree limbs, etc., and you're not going to get snagged. And so this doesn't give it quite as much action, but this tail still has a little flutter to it, and it's still a finesse style that works. So if you're really fishing around anything that you think you're going to get snagged on, this is the way to do it. All right, and so how to rig it, I'm going to take it off for you guys. So here is that EWG hook right there. I've got my line tied to it, and as you can see, this is a 3/0. You can use anywhere from a 2/0 size hook all the way up to a 5/0 if the Senko is big enough. I prefer a 3/0 for most size Senkos. And here's your Senko. All right, so you want to hook it in the nose just like this, right down the center. And I like to go about right until you can see that the Senko is going all the way into the bend of that hook. And then I pull the hook out one side, so it's just like that, and then you slide it all the way up. And you can see there's that bend in the hook with the eyelet right there. And I just pull it right over that, so that's all covered by the Senko, so it just looks like it's line and then the hook. And what you do is you feel where that hook lines up in that bait. So imagine if that hook was in it and it looked like that, you couldn't see the hook, I find where that point is and I mark it with my finger. So right where the bottom of the hook is, that's where my finger is. And then I slide the hook in through the side and then up. So that way that hook is buried in the bait. You can't see the hook at all. And you're good to go. So hopefully that all focused for you guys. But that's definitely how I Texas rig the Senko. Some people don't pull the nose up quite as much. I don't think it really matters. But that is how you do that rig style. All right, so the second way to rig your Senko style bait is called wacky rigging. And wacky rigging is referring to a small hook, just like this. Hopefully that focuses. And you take that hook and you hook it straight through the middle of your stick bait. So this right here is a Missile Baits 48, and same type of deal as the Senko and all the other ones. It flutters really well, etc. And you just want to take that hook and hook it straight through the side of the bait, and then you've got a wacky style bait. And when everybody's saying, oh, I wacky rigged it, etc., this is what they're talking about. It's that simple. Sometimes you can use black O-rings to go around the bait and then hook it through that to last a little bit longer. I don't use them. It's just all personal preference, and it doesn't hinder the way that you can fish the bait. But this is what they're referring to, and that is what allows each edge of the bait to flutter so well when it falls through the water. So finally, what rod setups do I use? You can really fish a Senko on anything, which is one of the awesome things about it. It's a really good beginner bait, as I said earlier in the video, because you can just fish it on almost any setup you have. Right here, I have a Dobbins spinning rod. It's a 7-foot medium action, and for me, I love throwing 4 to 5 inch Senkos on it, and I've had nothing but success. And it's just your standard spinning rod, your standard like do it all spinning rod, and it gets the job done. I don't really think the reel matters. If you are really particular, you could go with a faster reel, but in general, a standard medium right in the middle of the road rod is going to do it for you. And then I like to throw mine primarily on spinning rods, but there's a lot of guys who prefer bait casters. And so if you are one of them, which I'm not, but if you are, I have a rod that will work for you right here. And this is a 733, so it's a 7'3" rod. And again, medium action. And this is also a really good Senko rod. The length doesn't matter as much. I think 7 foot would really be ideal. Just a shorter rod for throwing around docks and cover and stuff. But again, you can get away with throwing it on most bait casting rods, except your super heavy like frog and punching rods, just because those might not be sensitive enough for you. And when it goes down to the reel, I just have a Shimano SLX DC on here, medium gear ratio. This one's actually a 6'3". I prefer a little bit faster, but you can get away with using whatever you have. And if you are a bait caster guy, you can definitely get away with using some bigger Senkos, which is one of the pluses of a bait caster. And this is a 6-inch Bass Pro Senko. And if you have access to some really good ponds with some big fish, a lot of times they don't see these oversized baits. And I would definitely recommend that you, when you're out there fishing Senkos next time, bring a couple bigger baits. And I think you'd be surprised at the amount of bites and the higher quality bites that you're getting. So I know that was a little bit off subject, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to try to keep this really short because I don't want to bore anybody. But I'm going to start doing this series, hopefully a lot more in the future. Just really basic how-tos on how to fish Senkos, maybe EWG hooks, drop shots, stuff like that. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks, guys.